Welcome in everybody to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL. With me as always to break down the Thursday night football games, my boy Scott Bogman, the host of the college football around these Betting Pros parts. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications. Boggs, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This game stinks. I am going to be watching the New York Mets playoff game. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be probably watching baseball and following this on the side. But sometimes, as my grandma always said, the watch pot never boils. So we can bet on it still, but it doesn't mean I have to watch it, and you can't make me.
This is pure Thursday night football, Joe.
It is.
This is what it's all about.
With Derek Carr out and Bo Nix playing Spencer Rattler. Yes,
it's about, two first-year rookie quarterbacks going at it in an old stadium. My favorite part about this was last Thursday when they were advertising it. It was a picture of Alvin Kamara and then Sean Payton. I'm like, that's how you know your team is good, is when they're putting the coach's face on there. I've only seen that. I mean, it is a big deal. Sean Payton go back to New Orleans.
Well, yeah, but it's not like they're doing Belichick and Brady on the marquee.
It's like after Brady left, it was like Bill Belichick on Thursday Night Football. It's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? But Drew Brees is going into the Saints Ring of Honor at halftime, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, this matchup could not be more lame.
I can't wait to see where Drew Brees' hairline is today. That should be an exciting thing to see. Let's get into the tail of the tape for this one. Before we do, remember, make all of your picks count. Download the Betting Pros app, sync your sportsbooks for free, and join the NFL Podcast group, because you can go directly to the Betting Pros app or go to bettingpros.com/NFL contest, sync your picks to use the quick pick feature. It's right there. It's really easy to find. I do it all the time. That's how I log all my picks here on Betting Pros. And once you join the contest, we're doing weekly and monthly prizes, and you don't even have to make a bet. You just have to make a pick. So if wagering is not quite legal yet in your state, you could still win free stuff at bettingpros.com/NFL contest. All right, Boggs, let's break down the game here. Denver at New Orleans. Hi. All right, so New Orleans is +3 at home, -118. That's the best number you're going to find. Denver -2.5 at -112. The over, you're getting 36.5. The under, the best number you can find on ESPN bet right now at 37.5. If you like New Orleans on the money line at home, +126. Now, look, New Orleans is the home dog here. Denver's defense played relatively well. When Surtain came out of the game last week, you saw them kind of tumble a bit. So, again, I know where my big lean is on this game, and I'm leaning towards the under because of the quarterbacks that are playing. You have another take, so I want to hear that one.
Yeah, I just think the under is too low, even for a Thursday night game with two rookie quarterbacks. So I'm going to take the over. I'll take Denver and lay the points. But Joe, again, we said this 3 weeks in a row. Don't bet the game, bet the props. That's what we want here.
Crushed the props last week, if memory serves. So
I was 3-2, and I got my touchdown call.
But you got the touchdown call too, so that was money on that one. And it was
Kittle had two.
Kittle had two, right?
Scores.
So you crushed that. And a lot of people I saw in the chat, I see you in the chat of the YouTube comments. Oh, Kittle ain't even gonna play. Well, he played and he scored 2 touchdowns last time I checked. So
yeah, I had him. I also had him as my number 1 tight end of the week, and that
don't leave receipts out there for me to view, because I'm gonna view them. But Boggs, I'm gonna take the other end here, which is 2 first-year quarterbacks, short week, Bo Nix, having to travel, 2 defenses that I actually have some talent on them. I think this is going to be an ugly one. This feels like a 16-10 kind of game to me. And
where's the talent on the Saints defense, and where was it last week against the Bucs?
Well, last week it wasn't there. But again, against Bo Nix, I don't think you need too much here. But they've got some veterans at least. And I think they, home dogs, you have a little bit of respect for yourself if you're New Orleans here. Nobody thought that Derek Carr was going to play this week. We'll see if he can play next week. We'll find out, but nobody thought he was going to make this Thursday night game. And I just think, with the 2 rookie quarterbacks, this one plays to the under here again, like 16-13, 16-10. It's a field goal fest, basically, is what I'm looking at. So Boggs and I are on opposite ends. I'm staying away from everything else. I'm on the under. He's on the over. What side are you on? Drop your comments. Let us know. Let's talk about the props before we do. Again, reminder, use the prop bet cheat sheet. That's where we get a lot of great props from. It combines the best number from any wagering house on a prop, along with the best over-under from a fantasy projection we have in Fantasy Pros over at Betting Pros. So it's the perfect tool to find the best props to bet on. And as Bogman said, I think that's the best approach probably for this game. So Boggs, let's start with Bo Nix here. I know this number has shifted a little bit, so let's talk about his passing yards and where you are with them.
Yeah, this started at 181 this week and has climbed to 191 and a half. But I think I'm good with anything 200 or under on Bo Nix here. And it's because New Orleans is 29th in passing yards allowed. Another reason why I like the over in this game. They've been miserable in the secondary the last couple weeks. Mayfield put up 325 on them last week. Mahomes 331, excuse me. Cousins 238. Hurts 311. Prescott 293. The only one to not get 200 yards against this defense was Bryce Young, week 1 for the Panthers. And we know he has since been benched and looked miserable in his other couple starts here. So I think that Bo Nix, not a great quarterback yet, but he is going up against a bad secondary, particularly against the slot. We'll talk about that in a second here, but Bo Nix takes chances. He avoids pressure well, and he throws the ball deep. So I think he's going to have a couple big hitters in this game, which will do the heavy lifting, and the rest of the game probably 100 to 125 yards. So a couple big plays and then 100 yards to 125 for the rest. I'm okay with that.
All right, so Bo Nix in the books here. Let's go to the next one. Cortland Sutton. I know we've toyed a little bit sometimes with some of the long receptions here. And you've got another one. It's 20 and a half. So does Sutton get a big play here? You taking the over at minus 125 or the under?
I like the over on this one too. Like I said, I do think Bo Nix takes those shots downfield to open them up. Typically with a long like this, if you're going for one of these on the over, I like the quarterback more, right? Because the quarterback, you have 4 or 5 targets to do this for you. If you're taking a position player, you only get one, but 20 and a half is pretty low for a guy like Cortland Sutton against a bad secondary. Bo Nix is tied for 5th in completions of 10 plus yards. His ADOT on those throws is 28.7. He's tied for 4th in PFF's big time throws with 9. And the Saints long in each game this season, 55 to Godwin, 50 to Juju, 36 to Mooney, 61 to Goddard, 55 to Lamb, and 35 to Jonathan Mingo. And that was with Bryce Young in that miserable game week 1 for the Panthers. So the Saints give up big plays, and that's why I like the over on Bo Nix and why I like the over on the long for Cortland Sutton. I think he's going to be their deep ball guy here.
All right, next one here on the list for Bogman. Give us what you have next, because Cortland Sutton, I can understand he's made some moments happen here for this Broncos offense, but is there anybody else in your mind too that could actually be useful here on Thursday Night Football to Bo Nix?
Let's look at the slot against New Orleans the last 2 weeks. It looked like Juju went and got the time stone and reverted back to 2019 and had so many yards. Kelsey had 9 catches against the Saints as well. They are not covering the middle of the field. Now, as a Texas guy, my initial thought is my man LJ Humphrey. That's the guy. He's been playing in the slot. Not last week, though. It was Vele, DeVaughn Vele, the rookie wide receiver here. So his total is set low at 31 and a half. He's the primary slot guy right now in the slot this season for 50 targets, 39 receptions, 458 yards, and 2 scores is what the Saints have given up. Like I said, Godwin, the main slot guy for Tampa Bay, went crazy last week. Juju and Kelsey the week before that. They just cannot cover the slot, and Vele is the guy in the slot for the Broncos right now. So that's who I want to take.
All right, so DeVaughn Vele is in there. Let's talk about the other side here with the New Orleans Saints and Spencer Rattler. Maybe not looking at his passing total, but maybe his rushing total instead. The number's 21 and a half. Where do you want to live with that one?
Yeah, I didn't get this one last week, so I understand if people want to fade these QB rushing props for me. I completely get it. Geno Smith did not bail out like I thought he would in run. He had plenty of opportunities, and he didn't do it. I was screaming at my television, run, Geno, run. Come on, get us those yards. He didn't do it. But Spencer Rattler, I said this on ITL when Welsh and I were talking about him. I watched him a lot at Oklahoma, obviously, and then at South Carolina the last couple years in college. And last year, what stood out to me, because I lost bets on it, was I would take the over interception on him, and he would just be so cowardly with the ball. Even when they were down, he didn't want to put it in harm's way because that's what lost him his job to Caleb Williams, by the way, at Oklahoma. So because of that, yes, he threw 2 picks. I had the under for him last week, but he threw 2 picks against Tampa Bay. That they were both in the second half. They're both when they were down multiple scores. So I think that is where you see him throw picks. He prefers to bail out. He did last week as well. He wants to run. 4 for 27 in his first start. Looks like Olave and Rashid Shaheed are. Olave is definitely not going to play. Shaheed probably is not going to play. So top 2 targets.
All the more reasons why I like the under tonight too. I just don't see those explosive playmakers there.
It's a good point towards that under. So, but 4 for 27 in his first start. Broncos are 5th in pressure percentage. O-line issues for New Orleans. They have the 2nd worst pass block grade, just ahead of the Los Angeles Rams. And, in college football, they count sack yards as lost rush yards, which is just so stupid. But PFF cuts all that nonsense out. And last season, Rattler had 67 rushes for 371 yards. He went over this week total 8 times last year with the Gamecocks. So, NFL is a different game. You probably don't want him running too often. You're not going to design a bunch of runs for a backup QB, but you're already on the backup QB. Like, let this guy use every tool in his toolbook. So I think he's going to bail out and run a little bit. Don't hate his touchdown prop either. I think it's plus 300 something. So I think he's going to go over this total. It's 21.5 rushing yards.
All right, so 21.5 over for Spencer Rattler. I actually like that one a lot, Boggs. I think you might actually talk me into that one, especially without the wide receivers there. People don't get open. Next thing you know, taking off and running is more of an option. Let's go to defensive prop here too, because it wouldn't be a show of Boggs if we didn't talk a little defense. So what do you have for the people tonight?
Yeah, let's go with the Jonathan Cooper over 0.25 sacks. This is, again, the 2nd worst pass block grade for New Orleans. 40 pass attempts last week for Rattler. It's not a good spot. You don't want to be doing that with a 2nd-year quarterback. And over 75% of snaps in games 4 and 6 for Jonathan Cooper, 2nd highest snap percentage. Games he didn't have sacks, so he doesn't need those extra sacks to get to the QB. Rattler held the ball just over 3 seconds, which would be the 8th longest in the NFL. If he did qualify. Obviously, he doesn't have enough pass attempts to really qualify with the rest of the league, but he's holding on to that ball too long, trying to look through his options. Might hold on to it a little bit too long a couple times this week, and I think Cooper is going to be the guy to get him at least once.
All right, so there you have it. Those are the props that Boggs are looking at. Let's get to the same game parlay. Keeping this simple. I've been doing this on Thursday night. Very simple. I find my favorite touchdown scorer and then like one other piece. Sometimes it's the same player for the over or the yardage. We've done great on those with the Alpha Dog wide receivers. That's been really useful the last couple weeks. But we don't have that this week, do we? So we've got to find another way to make money. So the way we're going to do it is take the juiced Alvin Kamara touchdown minus 120, which we'll get to that in a second. I just think it's going to be a lot of Alvin Kamara. They held him back from practice yesterday. And I think that's because you're trying to just make sure you can have some offensive weapon on the field to help Spencer Rattler. So I look for Kamara to shoulder a huge workload, which he has all year. Now, it hasn't, been a problem yet. I don't know what's going to look like down the stretch for Kamara, but that's who the Saints have been. I'm just going to continue to go with that. If you want to take his individual props too, instead, I want to go with just the under. So if you take the under and Alvin Kamara anytime touchdown, you can get this up to plus 342. That's a simple way to get 3 times your money, 3x your money right now on the Thursday Night Football game. And to me, that's the way to go. Let's get to the touchdown calls. I kind of gave mine away a little bit, obviously. So spoiler, it's Alvin Kamara for me. But if you're looking to build your own, check out same game parlays over on the BettingPros tools. We have that right now too. So you can combine multiple bets with a single NFL game. You can leverage the insights and look at bet recommendations, EV ratings, cover probability, and a whole lot more, and protect your betting strategy by analyzing your overall correlation grades and projections, and stay ahead of the following with the latest SGPs placed by fellow bettors too. You can follow us, bettingpros.com/Joe/Boggs. Bogman, that's how you do it. It should be Boggs. You know what? It should be /Boggs. But anyway, it's Bogman for now. And start building your winning parlays today at bettingpros.com/parlay. That's easy enough to remember, isn't it, kids? Or just go to bettingpros.com and or wherever you get your apps, download the app. It's very easy to do. So use the SGP tool. It's available right now. Boggs, it's Alvin Kamara for me, -120. I'm not trying to, there's no drama here for me. You know, like some of these other games were like, ooh, in division, interesting, cool matchups. No, it is none of that. It's out of conference, a subpar quarterback play, injuries all over.
DK's got it at -110, by the way. I think you had a -120.
I did on FanDuel's at -120.
A little bit better too.
Over on DK. There you go. See?
Yeah.
See? On the app, folks. Just living on the app. Boggs, where are you going for your touchdown call today? Because I think it's going to be a tricky one. It's gonna be
give me Bo Nix +255. He could definitely run one in here. I don't hate that Spencer Rattler one at +360, but if Taysom is back, I'm not sure if Taysom's gonna be back or not. If Taysom is back, then he's the guy. Like you said, Alvin Kamara is probably the guy. They'll get a little tricky near the goal line. I think the Saints will. So I don't hate the Rattler one, but Bo Nix is going to be my pick. +255. Could easily see him running it in. That run game in Denver is weak sauce right now. Good Lord, it's bad.
Yeah, it is hard times. There's dusty roads like the thing. Hard times, baby. You know, I know about hard times. I had to watch Thursday Night Football between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers without any sort of quarterback play a couple of weeks ago. And now I got to watch all of a sudden the New Orleans Saints now without Derek Carr, baby. It's hard times down there for a lot.
I had no idea you had this Dusty Rhodes impression in your back pocket. That is outstanding.
I wined and dined with kings and queens, and I slept in alleys with Nate pork and beans. That's what I did. And speaking of alleys and pork and beans, that's the Saints and Denver Broncos tonight, folks. That's what it is. So enjoy it as best you can. And the best way to do this is by making some money on the game. So again, download the Betting Pros app, sync your sports books, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the pod. Let us help you continue to make some money. Boggs made a lot last week on the Thursday Night Football game. I hope you are right about all of your props. And I hope I'm right about the under because I'm selfish and I want to be right about my thing. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Scott Bogman, I'm Joey P. Try to enjoy Thursday Night Football. We'll see you next time, kids.